Remember the milkman? Fueled by our growing quest as consumers for greater convenience and healthier lifestyles, the old-fashioned door-to-door tradition may be making a comeback in the form of fresh juice deliveries. Welcome to the Adlibber podcast, featuring conversations of influence. Some of it planned, much of it ad-libbed.
Welcome back to the Adlibber podcast, where we discuss digital marketing and brand strategy topics and have conversations with influential people. I'm your host, Jay Scott, Senior Media Relations Manager at Gavin. Joining me today as co-host is John Buffone, also a Senior Media Relations Manager at Gavin. Our special guest is Leon Kennard, founder and owner of Revive, a cold pressed juice subscription service. Today, we're going to be talking about manufacturing a new business model during the pandemic and communicating changes to your customers. John, let's talk juice and how consumer expectations are changing. I saw a stat over the summer that said the subscription economy has exploded and could grow to $1.5 trillion by 2025, which would be double current estimates. And a lot of us are what they're calling power subscribers, meaning you're someone that has, 10 or more recurring payments. And I know we're talking subscriptions here. Give us a little sense of Lee's company and let's dig into this a little bit more.
Well, for lack of a better term, it was a very grassroots effort to start up, and they're still very labor intensive. But as society changes, as more of a subscription model, as you kind of alluded to, so can consumer goods like juice. And what that can do is it can take a lot of the burden off your workforce, and you can put more resources and time and materials into other things to help expand your business whenever you're not going with this boots on the ground approach. So it's really interesting to see how some of these business models are changing, specifically with something like Revive, where there's so much more to think about that, because the quality of the juice and to be able to properly ship that juice or properly deliver that juice, there's a lot that goes into that, but it's also playing into that big societal shift that we saw maybe expedited by the pandemic, where people saw, or they did it out of necessity, and now they're doing it out of convenience. So it's going to be a really interesting way to see how a lot of these businesses shift. And so that being said, I would like to bring Leon on. And Leon, I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us. How are you doing today? And how's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling amazing. I start my day with juice every day, so that gets me going. Can't complain. The pandemic has brought challenges, but I was prepared to take on those challenges before the pandemic even hit. Literally, I can't complain. I'm educating people. We're impacting lives on a daily basis. So life is great.
I want to kind of start with the timeline of this. You started this company in 2017, and I'm sure that there was an initial business model, and now there's got to be something that's completely different now in 2021, and then looking forward to what you're going on in 2022 and beyond. So can you talk a little bit about how that business model may have changed from your infancy to where you are today?
Yeah. So when I first began in 2017, it started with just a goal. The goal was to help my mother and myself heal. My mother at the time was suffering from diabetes, and I played football my whole life. I experienced a lot of injuries. So I wanted to just help myself heal, help my mother heal. I became super passionate about health and wellness. That's kind of when the journey started. Researching, I knew about aquaponics growing and the benefits of that. I knew about microgreens and how they're 40% more nutritious than, your kale or your arugula that you find in the store. So I started with that, but it really just started with an intention, a goal, staying open to that journey. I wanted to make it accessible to many different people, my friends, my family. I knew that I couldn't just show up with a tray of microgreens and they would eat it and they would, get all their benefits that they desired. So I transitioned. It started with, I'll give you an example, dandelion greens, the world's strongest leafy vegetable, the most alkalizing plant that you could possibly eat. I went to go make a dish of it. I ate it and it was so nasty and disgusting. I'm like, well, I got to figure this out. So, the light bulb went off to make a juice out of it. I wanted to get those ingredients into my mom's body, my body. So that's kind of where the journey began, just wanting to help people heal with love and with good nutrition. So I started creating juices, started getting great feedback on those juices. People were really seeing the difference in their lives. So I just, kept at it and just kept going. And that was the mission.
And so whenever you start a brand like this, you're not taking over an already established brand, you're creating your own brand. So whenever you just start on this, I'm sure you're wearing many hats. Not only are you making the juice, but you're also your own marketing team. You're also your own PR team, communications, all these other things. What went into wearing all those different hats to make sure that not only you were making a quality product, but you were also making people aware of your brand? You were out there trying to get the word out about your product.
Yeah, I mean, the business model that I have is an unorthodox way. You talk about juice bars or juice, either you're going to buy it in the store or you're going to go to a juice bar to get it. And I didn't want to open up a retail location. I wanted to, get it directly to the customer. So that requires a lot of hats. I'm trying to figure things out from the bottom with really no blueprint in front of me. I didn't even have a business plan. I just knew I had an intention to go, and I wanted to go from there, get it to everybody. So, that requires me going out doing marketing, going out doing different farmers markets, talking to people in different health and wellness fields, different apartments. So, I have some days I had to go make the juice, pack it up, get in the car, go sell it, go talk to people, go clean the dishes, do whatever I really needed to do to educate people to get this into the consumer's hands.
Leon, how do you differentiate yourself now here in 21? There are a lot of, obviously a lot of juice companies, a lot of different products that may be in a grocery store, they may be selling in, different channels. How do you feel like you differentiate from the products that are out there this year?
Yeah, it's definitely a saturated market for sure. There's a lot of companies out there that just put together, anything for profitability. And there's also misleading information. People every day I thought that this was healthy. I thought that this was healthy, and that's the hardest part. But just not compromising the integrity of the product and what the actual goal was. We wanted to create a quality product. So, just staying true to the integrity, staying true to the values that we hold, educating the people, and not compromising that. The goal is to have people really feel the difference, really rely on good health, the things that come from the ground that God created for our bodies to heal.
Can you talk a little bit about the evolving retail environment? Obviously, the pandemic's had effect on a lot of industries, a lot of people all over the world, and many businesses have had to pivot a little bit. And you're obviously going down a road on the subscription side. Do you sense that the pandemic's permanently reshaped how people think about shopping and just how we consume goods today?
Yeah, I think so. And before the pandemic, we were already kind of going into like the e-commerce way of buying things. So, Amazon was exploding. Now the pandemic just didn't allow people to get out the house more. So now, now people are looking to buy things online, and this service was perfect for that. It was started before the pandemic. It wasn't a retail location. We wanted to focus on delivery and being accessible to more people. A retail location would have kept us limited to the people just in that area, but we wanted to make sure that we could access the entire state, grow nationally. So it kind of like fell into the hands of, it benefited everybody that was going through the same thing. We're all going through the same thing in this pandemic. It proposed challenges for everybody. Allowing people to go online, place the order, getting it directly to their door became huge during that time.
As far as moving forward with a subscription-based platform, I wanted to kind of talk to you about the consumer point of view, because I think, like you said, Amazon kind of made people think I can get anything delivered here. And a lot of the times people expect that kind of convenience. But how does that look with a subscription-based model with juices? Because I'm sure there's a lot more involved than, just packing it up and sending it, because these are very fresh juices. I'm sure they have to be kept at a certain temperature, or they have to be delivered in a certain way, and somebody would probably have to be home. So what does a subscription-based model look like with juices as opposed to other delivery models?
Yeah, so I mean, first thing, people have to know the product. So we have to figure out a way to allow people to try the product, to experience the product before they can decide to subscribe to something. It's very unlikely that somebody sees something like, yeah, I want to subscribe to that right away. So going to the markets, going to apartment complexes, going to corporate buildings, going to places where people work out, allowing them to sample the juice, try the juice. And then once they try it, they can go online, they can pick the product that they want, subscribe to it. It comes out automatically on their card, so they don't have to worry about it. They can choose, weekly, bi-weekly, or once a month. And then the rest is on us. We have to make sure that we coordinate with the consumer when they can get it, because it's a perishable product. It has to remain cold. So we have a refrigerated van that once those orders come in, it's consistent, for the most part, unless you're doing every 2 or 3 weeks. But for the ones that come in every week, they come in, we load up the van, we coordinate with the consumer, we deliver it right to their doorstep. The packaging is important, making sure that our juices are in glass, so making sure that the bags that we put them in have a freezer bag, that everything is staying cold for the duration that they need to remain cold. Everybody's schedule is different, so there's a lot to take in, consideration. We don't use Amazon or we don't use a third-party service like DoorDash or Uber Eats. So everything is in-house. So we have to coordinate with the staff in the kitchen on who's making the juice, with the customer, with the people that are delivering the juice. So it was challenging to figure out, but I think we're doing a great job in figuring it out.
And with an enhanced subscription-based model, that kind of takes some of the pressure off your staff to physically be in places. And like you said, constantly going into farmers markets or constantly going to these different areas just to be able to sell your product. Now, they still maybe go out and do that for brand ambassadorship, but they're not doing that just to try to sell your inventory. So with that extra manpower, with that extra time that you're saving by not having to have so many people dispersed in the area, and I know you're really focusing on that Maryland, Southern Pennsylvania, even Virginia area, with that extra time and potentially extra money, how are you going to be able to expand some of your operations by switching to this business model?
Yeah, so an average farmer market lasts for about 4 to 5 hours. And then you got to take in consideration the time packing up, going there, unpacking, packing up at the end of it, then leaving. So that's 6, 7 hours. And the goal is to create a subscription-based model. So now we can use that time to go out to, knock on people's door directly, just like they did in the old days with the milk. And, that's kind of what we're going to. We're going to be the modern day, but, juice man though. So, going directly to the customers, educating them on why it's important and what we offer, what we can offer, just spending that extra time on going to corporate building where people have to show up every day and they can place group orders or they can place orders for themselves. They can get their juice. So that will allow us to actually, chase after the model that we have created, as opposed to going to a farmer's market, being there for 6, 7, 8 hours, and we're really only relying on the people that actually come out the house that day. It's not a very consistent thing. So now that we're stepping away from those farmers markets, we'll be able to capture all the audience that we are looking for.
I like that. It's kind of that throwback model in a way, but also it's modern, considering the subscription side and the e-commerce platforms that didn't exist, years ago when you're talking about the milkman. I was curious about, when you look at other health and lifestyle trends that exist today, like what are some things that you see that may benefit your model moving forward?
Well, before the pandemic, 2020, 2021, we were as a culture, as an economy, as a world, everything, we were shifting to veganism, shifting to different fad diets, making this shift. People are becoming truly aware of what they're putting in their body. The food pyramid has completely changed from 20, 30 years ago. So, that helps. People are taking the time and investing in themselves as far as their health. So going directly to the gyms, just making that awareness. We're not a fad diet. We're not just a come and go type of thing. We're selling all natural ingredients that come straight from the earth. There's no gimmicks to it. So, just trying to, talking to the customer, seeing what their goals are, listening to the customer, providing that convenience that they're looking for as well. People want to be healthy, but they don't know where to begin. So providing that convenience for them, giving that education that they're looking for, just really going the extra mile in that regard.
That's a great point, Leon. I was wondering how you see social media platforms and other forms of marketing impacting not only your brand, but the industry.
Yeah, I mean, 2021, it's all digital now. People are walking around with their phones in their hands. And, the attention span is very short as well. So social media is really a huge part of the marketing, creating videos, creating educational creating the content that people are really truly looking for. They want to lose weight, people want to be healthier. And the first place that they go is social media. The first place that they go is their phone. That's where they really feel a connection. So I think that in today's age, that social media marketing, videos, getting the information directly to the handheld devices that people hold every day.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add regarding just the brand? Any other thoughts as far as kind of where we're at in this kind of business cycle, or other thoughts on where the industry is headed, and how Revive was going to play a part in that?
I see this as a national brand and then ultimately expanding global. We really go the extra mile with the education piece, making sure that people can understand the importance of it. People really relying on medicine, but that's kind of shifting. Everything's kind of shifting. So I would just say staying true to the values, what the goal, what the intention is, because sky's the limit. I don't think 2 years ago when I started this business, I had an idea of where it was going, but this it's all a great blessing, and the steps that we're taking, I couldn't have written it out this way. So I would just say staying true to the values, to the goal, to the not compromising, our integrity, and just letting it go where it can go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I mean, being able to take a risk in a sense to shift your business model, see what's going on, in not just your state, but across the country and across the world, and making a conscious effort to go down this new path. I think that it's smart, but obviously there's also risk involved, and it's exciting to kind of learn a little bit more about your company and its future. So we appreciate you coming on here to talk about Revive, talk about the model, and hopefully it'll inspire others to potentially pursue some of the dreams that they have. Maybe they have similar stories, similar paths, and this could be something that sparks a thought or gets somebody to rethink their own business a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that everybody that has dreams or goals, can accomplish those goals. It starts with yourself. It starts with your mind, and just believing in yourself and really wanting to make a difference for a greater purpose.
Thank you for listening to the Adlibber podcast. To find new episodes and get more content from our team here at Gavin, make sure to visit our website at adlibberpodcast.com. The Adlibber is also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.